Throughout this course, we're going to build a lot of websites, and we're going to build a lot of websites that have more content and look a bit nicer than this first basic website. But there is one type of content which we can add to this website as well, which will immediately make it look better, because it makes almost all pages look better. And that would be an image. Images are extremely important. If you have a look at some random website, there is a high chance that it contains a lot of images. Because humans like images. Having images on your site makes your site more relatable and makes it almost automatically look better and more appealing. So I want to add an image here as well. Let's say an image of a trophy, since this is still a website about my daily challenge. And attached I have an example image for you, which you can simply download and then drag into your project folder. I did it as well, and hence I have this challenges trophy JPEG file, this image, in my project folder now, in my website folder. And now we can embed that image into our page. I go to my body, because this will clearly be a visible content element, and in there we can add a brand new HTML element which is responsible for displaying images. And the name of that element is, well, image. However, not image written like this, but img. So a shortened version of image, so to say. The interesting thing about image is that just like link, it's a void element, so it doesn't have a closing tag. It just has an opening tag. Because just like link, image will have no content between the opening and closing tags, and hence it has no closing tag. You could think that image maybe works like this, and you specify the name or the path of your image here between the opening and closing tags, but that's simply not how it works. So instead, just like link, you configure it with attributes only. And the image element now needs a src, a source attribute, which specifies the path to the image that should be embedded. Why src and not href? It's just what it is. The image element simply expects a src attribute. And whilst this might sound very random and hard to remember, it's only a couple of elements which have these link attributes anyways, and you'll be able to keep in mind which one wants ref and which one wants source as you gain more and more experience as a web developer. The image element wants a src attribute. But then, just like ref, it takes a relative path to a local file or also a URL to an image stored on some other web server. But here it's a local file sitting in the same folder as the index.html file, and therefore, just as we did it for daily challenge CSS on this link, here for this image, we can now simply repeat that image file name, and that will embed this image in this place of the document. Now if we save that and reload, the image is here. It's missing all the styling we might want, but it is here. Before we style it though, I want to talk about another key attribute which you should always add when you add an image. And that's the alt attribute. That's an important one. The alt attribute should specify some text which is shown if loading the image fails. Which could happen because maybe you're fetching it from some other server which is offline, or because maybe your server fails to deliver it for some reason. But in addition, it's also not just a fallback text showing if the image is not loaded, but it's also a text that will be read out to people using a screen reader. Because if a blind person visits your website, having an image isn't too useful to them. But having some text that tells them what would be on that image is. So here I'll say a trophy, describing what's on the image. And of course you can add any description of your choice. So adding this alt attribute won't change what we see on the screen, but it's some important piece of extra information which you should add for all your image elements.